The Ukrainian counteroffensive continues unabated along the entire front line. For Russia, the bad news keep coming. Ukrainian troops, which are under heavy pressure at many points, continue to advance. Moreover, Russian sources make very careful statements. According to statements of Russian sources, the losses of the Russian army have increased considerably. However, according to claims of these sources, the Ukrainian army has not yet started to use its full power. If this claim is true, it would be correct to think that more Russian casualties are possible in the coming days. So what has been happening in the front line in recent days? Let's take a look at the latest developments on the map. Zelenski recently issued a statement and informed about the latest situation of the counterattack. The statements in Zelensky's statement are as follows. Fierce fighting continues in the south. We are destroying the enemy. Our troops in Donetsk direction are successfully continuing the operation. In the direction of Kupiansk, we will foil the plans of the Russian invaders. All our units are regularly reinforced. Thank you, fighters. Let's take a look at the regions Zelensky mentioned in the statements. Our priority will be developments on the southern front line. We have already mentioned the Zaporizhia front line in our previous reports. We know that the capture of the town of Pryatikhatsky was a turning point. In recent days, the Ukrainian army has taken new offensive position. Now let's take a look at Vasilivka on the bank of Dnieper River. As you can see on the map, Pryatikhatsky is marked in blue. This indicates that the area was liberated during counteroffensive. The distance between Vasilivka and Pryatikhatsky is only 15 kilometers. In recent days, the Ukrainian army has carried out series of operations in the direction of Vasilivka starting from Pryatikhatsky. There are many camouflaged Russian positions right on the riverbank. Ukrainian artillery targeted these positions on the riverbank. According to local sources, there was a large stockpile of Russian ammunition in the area. With this attack, the warehouse was blown up. Developments in the region are not limited to this. The Russian army has yet to digest the loss of Pryatikhatsky. Therefore, the Russian army is trying to recapture the region before the establishment of Ukrainian sovereignty in the region. Russia has attempted several unsuccessful offensives in Pryatikhatsky. The Ukrainian army retaliated to these attacks. The attacking Russian troops suffered heavy losses and were forced to retreat. During these offensive activities in Pryatikhatsky, a large number of tanks and armored vehicles of the Russian army were destroyed. In addition, according to local reports, many Russian soldiers were killed. Ukrainian troops continued their counteroffensive actions in the area. There are dense forests south of Pryatikhatsky. Ukrainian troops in the region continue their counteroffensive activities along the forest line. There are numerous reports of hot clashes in the forest from time to time. According to the latest reports from local sources on the Zaporizhia front line, the Ukrainian army has successfully repelled several Russian offensive attempts along the 40 kilometers line stretching from Vasilivka to Orikhiv. There are claims that a large number of Russian soldiers were captured during the Russian offensives there. Local sources report that the Russian army left wounded soldiers on the battlefield as it retreated. Now let's take a look further south to Kherson. Russian troops are in a particularly difficult situation east of Kherson and Dnieper River. The Ukrainian army has increased its pressure on the area in recent days. Russian positions in many places are being regularly shelled by the Ukrainian artillery. One of them is located about 75 kilometers from the city center of Kherson. There was a military facility here, which the Russian military planned to make permanent. With the Ukrainian army's shelling of this facility, this plan is no longer valid. The facility was completely blown up. A Russian tank was also successfully destroyed in the same attack. The Ukrainian army continues to maintain pressure on the cities behind the front line, such as Melitopol and Berdyansk. Recently, Ukrainian Defense Ministry spokesperson Hanna Maliar made a series of statements about the developments on the front line. Maliar stated that the Ukrainian army continues its heavy pressure on Berdyansk and Melitopol and that Ukrainian pressure in this region will continue. According to Malyar, the Ukrainian army is targeting strategic points such as ammunition depots and military installations belonging to the Russian army in these regions. We have shared in our previous reports that the Crimean Peninsula, which has been under Russian occupation for many years, will become more and more active. Last day, Russian sources published remarkable information about Sevastopol, one of the important cities in the region. First, airstrike warnings were made through Telegram channels. However, there was no information about where the airstrike came from or what it was carried out with. After this warning, it is reported that very violent explosions occurred in Sevastopol. It is still unclear what caused the explosions. Many local sources report that these explosions were caused by Storm Shadow missiles. However, these claims have not been confirmed. You can see Sevastopol on the map. This is more important for Russia than many other regions. Because the Black Sea Fleet Group, one of the most important parts of the Russian Navy, is stationed in the port of Sevastopol. And by holding this city, Russia wants to prevent the Ukrainian army from reaching the Black Sea. Now let's move on to developments in the northern line. Bakhmut is undoubtedly the most prominent part of this region. The Bakhmut issue occupied the world agenda for a long time, and the Bakhmut is still on the agenda. The Ukrainian army's struggle to recapture Bakhmut continues unabated. Let's take a look at the city. In recent days, fighting has intensified in Bakhmut line. Ukrainian troops allegedly entered several Russian positions. Many Russian soldiers surrendered to Ukrainian troops along with their equipments. In fact, we can consider the current operations of Ukrainian army in the region as an area cleaning. The Ukrainian army needs to clear the area here. As you can see, Berkhivka is located north of the city of Bakhmut. In order to encircle Bakhmut, Berkhivka needs to be liberated. However, entering the positions in Berkhivka alone is not enough to encircle Bakhmut, because of a permanent domination of the Berkhivka position must be established. Thus, when Bakhmut is besieged, the space needed for the Ukrainian army to maneuver will be provided by Berkhivka. On the Donetsk line, we can say that there are some movements, albeit limited. According to latest reports, Russian troops carried out a series of attacks on the Donetsk line. However, Ukrainian troops successfully repelled these attacks. In the Yampolivka and Serbiansk forest areas of Donetsk region, especially in the direction of Limansky, fierce clashes between the Ukrainian army and Russian troops continue. In the Bilogorivka-Shipilivka direction, the Ukrainian army carried out offensive actions and partially succeeded. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army's counterattack is as expected? What do you think about the latest situation of Russian army? Do you think the counteroffensive will be successful? We care about your opinion. Please share them with us.